of the ancient Kabbalistic map.
It's Charna.
Actual size.
For Charna.
Hi, Charna. We see, look at Charna and we see ourselves. That Wednesday is actually the peak. You know, the Shabbat is the peak of the week. And so Wednesday begins the week to Shabbat. And Saturday night, Tuesday is the fifth. Exactly. So if we live with Shabbat consciousness, right, that we're positioned, Sinai in a different location than living with. Thank you, Lord. For doing that. So beautiful. That's the reason of the C, the major key, right? Just
There's a little bit of this choreography for that is to try to locate some of the screen in the spot where some of the people is back and try to return to be here. And be here as much as you can, or as much of our session as
Hey, Charna!
Okay, duly placed. Thank you, Mark. Welcome back. We'll do officially. So clever, here we are. Here we Feel the familiarity, some knowingness. After you've walked from beginning awareness, moments of awkwardness, the way you have skillfully worked towards this integration. Discover all you've forgotten, to become aware and awkward and skillful to integrate and become aware again. This spiral has brought us here. Continue with breath of life, source of all. The gift of this connectivity and commitment, and work that has brought us to an ending.
Amen.
So there's a wonderful multiplicity of the fourth week. On one hand, it's a pinnacle. There is that sense of familiarity. You know, I even notice as I'm sitting here, it's like, oh, this is us. There's like an usness to sit into, to rest into.
oh, that's to get to be very end of the winter. So it's a winter, we prepare the winter wonderland just for you.
The snow globes were out just a couple of days ago to make sure it looked like it. And so we can bring, you know, expectations for ourselves, things that we're, you know, we really get to feel into, lean into that aspect of integration. And we want to invite you to that stance, regardless of how skillful you feel. What is it to claim that something has happened to us, that we have learned something, even if it's the moment where we realize, oh, I forgot that, or what happened to that Nusa. You know, this is not the week that we trot out like the Nusa police and tasers, you know, for flow and all the rest of that. So to kind of like relax yourself to that moment, that it's not about how do I demonstrate.
We don't need that.
That's true. That's you know, we want to take that pressure off, and we want you to invite you to actually claim that something is integrating itself, whether you're aware of it or not. And that integration can manifest as easily in the oops moment, or oh, I reflected, I forgot, because you wouldn't have even known to forget and remember 2 years ago. So to hold ourselves and each other with compassion as we move through this process and say, that's another step of integration. That I'm aware now of what I'm not aware of, that I'm more that I'm like, well, forget them, I'm going to do this anyway, even if it blows up the whole Mat Bay of Tefillah, and I've been waiting to show them for 2 years now, whatever the stance may be. And know that even if that's the case, if you're doing, you know, like this.
You do it skillfully,
If you do
you're
it-
contributing.
So we'll be watching, you know, even if it's like the total, you know, yoga thing, or one chant that lasts for half an hour, then we still want to look at the beginning, middle, and the end. You know, how did you bring people in? Where was the Chatzi Kaddish in the silence, as much as the Amida of the silence? Like all these principles still apply to whatever we do in the arc of our community. And this is in the Holy Script there. We've got our foci this week, which you've gotten the, you know, that's just the key pieces beyond the normal pieces that we'll be working this week in the calendar that we're going to focus on, with ending with help getting you into a place to say, what's your long-term davening readers plan? You know, how are you going to work this and move this forward? So the last thing I'll say before Daniel, if you want to pick it up for the numerous, or anybody else has anything else to say, part of their opening getting present pieces, is that we're going to try to coach a little bit more this week in you moving and reflecting into not just here's what I experienced or even what I noticed about the davening, but thinking about how your reflections can be teachables moving forward. Meaning, if I noticed this about that davening, if I was back home trying to convey this to my Kehillah, how would I phrase that? So to use week 4 as your trial, right? You know, as your working ground to start to communicate in such a way that you would be teaching back home, that you would be clear about that you would be bringing people into the understanding that you would want, whether you work with large communities and other people. So at times we might get in there with you and say, that's really great, you talked about flow, but what did that really mean? If you were to explain that in a way that I who had never heard your insight before could hear. So he named me.
And Martin, Hine Martin.
Yay, welcome home.
Yay. We'd love, Martin, to welcome you back in this space. We missed you in our 3rd week together. We're glad to see you. I wonder if there's anything you might want to say or share. Appreciate help land back here.
It's wonderful to be back here, to be centered where I was last year in the snow. And I really missed you all. But thanks for my Facebook and to be able to keep up with your lives and talk to you. It's been a blessing.
We had emails from a few people you know, if you were on email recently, from people who can't be here. And one of the things we do in DLTI, which you might take home in some way in your own home community, is when people can't be here, we invite them to send us a few words, a few sentences that we might read from them as we get settled here. So we did that, and for most of the people who wrote to me, I got a page. Filled with love and longing and blessings for us and our faith. I want to read a few of them to bring a few more people into the room. Pat wrote to me. She said, the forecast for Falls Village, cold with periods of snow. Forecast for the sanctuary, warm and sunny with waves of love and connection. You have given me 3 weeks of riches that I'm still trying to integrate. In your love, I know we each have a role to play. I will miss you, and I am so grateful to each of you. Much love and gratitude. Shimon. Shimon can't be here this week. He wrote, lost and found. Lost, fragile ego, last seen hiding in the back row. Found, wings, voice, spaciousness, when less is more. Lost, fear, control, attachment. Found, own in shalom, intention in tension. Lost, please rise. Found, kahal, healing, whole, whole. And last from Sally, she writes, her father-in-law has suffered a rapid cognitive decline. I've needed to clear my schedule to be present for both my husband and my father. I treasure the experiences I hold close from my first 3 sessions. Know that my heart will be singing along with you. So. And Charna, who is here in one way.
Go, Charna!
And also to acknowledge that Geeta can't be here this week because of the developments in Israel. She told us she's considering rejoining with DLTI 9. Bill cannot be here this week because of his health. Judy wrote us just the other day that she had to cancel the plans to come. Lisa was planning to be here, and also her health has taken a turn recently in a way that she hopes is getting better, but could not be here. Kevin Sri will be joining us, we think, late next year about that. And Brian, have we heard anything more from Brian?
Not yet.
We're not sure if Brian will be on the
There's
plan.
a beloved teacher of his and an influencer of many, who passed away recently, and he's involved, waiting to see the funeral arrangements and how those unfold, his involvement in that. So he's a possible show, but he's not clear.
And Flora is here with us, but for her own self-care, she's going to be on her own this evening and hopes to join us.
Thank you, Daniel. That's a lot of, I don't think we've ever quite had a last week. It's usually a flip. You know, the big missing happens in the 3rd week, and then no one wants to miss the last week. And of course, all the reasons are to deal with health and support with family members, as opposed to a conflict of a cruise or something like that. Not for us to judge.
Thank you so much, Fish, at the close of our gathering, that you would reach out to those who were not able to be here and share whatever love and longing and teachables that you can, so that they knew that they were really cared for and embraced.
And also noticing, Marcia, in that way, the community building aspect of the work that we do, that had the invitation not been issued, if you did so beautifully, Daniel, will send us some words. It's not the default program for most of us that we would be missed. And yet the words that were shared because of the invitation is a prayer in and of itself. And the shifting of the consciousness that I count, it's very different than most of the rural communities that don't have a sense of chovah, around, say, making a minyan these days. Or whatever. The minyan, the prayer is something that they do, and sometimes I'm part of the they, or maybe I'm even the we, but it happens with or without me, as opposed to thinking that, like I take it so to heart in a beautiful way when some members of the community email me and say, I'm so sorry I won't be there Friday. We're really trying to cultivate that consciousness to let us know, especially if you're a regular, because you need something. And also this community the circle can't continue just on its own if there's nobody there. So it's an important piece.
And I learned this skill from Red Marsha and your prompting to do this and reach out to people who are not able to come. Beyond saying, oh, I'm so sorry, we understand, our prayers go with you, which is love. It's another thing to think here and in our home communities, how it is we continue to weave in people, however it is they participate, even if when it means being alone.
So we've landed and we've said a little Hineni statement, welcomed back our MIA for week 3, and brought in the voices of those who aren't here. Unless I'm missing something, those who are here probably have something to say as well.
Okay.
Let's roll into welcoming you.
So the presenting question, we want to begin with, give you a chance to get into small groups. Begin with that. Then, since your last time in this particular circle, how have you grown as a davening leader, and what have you experienced that's helped you on the path to where you see groups? So how have you grown, and what have you experienced that you can already see as your horizon line calling you towards where you need to go next? So we'll give you a few moments to go into small groups, and then we'll glean and share with each other.
Please keep the groups not so big that you really can't comfortably speak with one another.
1 to 5, you will lose your visiting privileges. So just keep that in mind as you say.
Groups of 4 would be ideal, but we don't know whether it's needed or not.
Oh, that's just us. We can't see her.
No,
Yeah.
she's not, man. We're waiting for that.
So like so many honeybees having visited so many flowers. What's some of the nectar that you want to return, the pollen you want to return to the community by sharing some of the sweetest reflections you've heard from hearing your own sharing?
Sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
What's the juicy, life-giving, fragrant sharing you'd like to give in this moment that you're sharing? What are some beautiful essences? Julia.
Everybody learn a lot. Everybody wants to do a lot more.
Great
Very
opportunity.
fine, very fine.
Give us one specific we can hang our hat on. So people love generalities, but they don't really sink it. I know. But you gave me the opportunity to say.
It seems like everybody in the group is doing something new. Starting a Kabbalah, leading services more in their synagogue, starting a movement to keep up in her job and forgetting that. Myself. I'm not gonna talk about myself. Yeah, is that specific enough for you, Sean?
Is it specific enough for you?
Yes. No, I think that everybody's excited to do more. Everybody seems to be wanting to do more and more and feeling more confident. So,
Did you get us out to remind, since we're on the Dick Cavett show now or whatever it is, did you get a sense from your own intuition? This was the people in your own community who reported what they're doing. Did you get a sense of what the it was that is allowing them to move in that direction?
now having more of a, as you put it, a toolbox, having a toolbox, knowing where to go, how to start, how to plan, having something to pull from, and not just being, toolbox.
Okay. You'll call on the next.
I will, okay.
I sense the confidence in our group, a confidence which manifested itself in saying, I don't like the way things are going now, or I don't feel right here, and I have the authority or the confidence to say something isn't working, and I want to change it. Whether that was a relationship between Cantor function and Rabbi function, and say, this isn't working for me, I'm not just plug and play. Or someone who said, I need vocal lessons. I want you to give me vocal lessons so that I can do my job better. Someone who said, well, I know how to put together a service and I'm going to do that. And someone who said, I don't like the way that things are running in my synagogue, I'm going to find a partner and be the new ritual committee. And clean things up. So it was sort of flexing muscles that we now have.
And hopefully in relationship.
Oh, yeah.
With a greater system in
And
which
how
we
to
function.
do it in a partnership way, rather than either withdrawing and saying it doesn't work for me, or have a fight about it. And I think that in all instances, when we went to the other party and said, I would like to do things a little differently, this isn't really working the way I want, the other party said, I see what you're talking about, and was willing to engage with us as an equal that would not have happened before.
Amy in my group, she said that she's been leading a minion on her own, and she came into a service and had prepared so many things, which of course I was envious of for ability to do that. But to plan so much and then to come into the service and not have enough people for a minion and have to go pretty much off the cuff and do something spontaneous. And we didn't get a report whether there's a sense that it was successful, and then it touched people. And sometimes the best stuff, you don't want to lose. You put the time in the preparation, which is something we've learned here, but not to forget that sometimes, the situation, we have that in us still to just be in the zone and touch people that way.
I learned that making mistakes is good.
And Esther, just because of your location, might need to use a little bit more vocal power.
Speaking of the money.
I learned that making mistakes is good, and that it brings community together actually, and it's not our responsibility perfect all the time. And that really freed me up to create connection, which was the ultimate goal anyway. And so I am living in that.
Me too.
Not the same.
When you're working with your communities, I'm not asking anybody here at this moment in time, but it's when those things like, I found a gateway to spirit, or I learned that I don't have to be perfect anymore, or mistakes are okay, whatever. It's a good invitation to tell me a little bit more. What is a mistake for you? What is perfection mean for you? Like when those words start to, when you feel that confidence and there's a shared language, to unpack it a little bit, because underneath that gives you information, especially if you're a support person, or what they mean is perfect is, I will always get the new stuff, or I know the prayers off by heart, or, you know, I call the page numbers, like what's underneath that, so that we know for ourselves, but also for others, you know, how to support them in that way, because we may have an image of what that means, perfection for us, but for somebody else it could mean I didn't set the kiddush out in advance, or I didn't finish the Torah by 6 p.m. and I'm feeling stressed now. And so we get a chance to get in there with each other as each other's allies in the specificity as well as the general principles that you're
Going by the old adage, you can learn from your mistakes, but first you have to make them.
So Rebecca Shaw, someone else is there.
I'm picking up on both what we said with confidence and what you're saying with perfectionism and all of that. I'm taking that and starting to integrate that. I feel personally a little bit rebellious, and I feel like I feel like I had been a little bit of a slave to, well, it has to be the way it's supposed to be and the way that whoever else wants it to be, to please whoever is supposed to be. I don't even know. And now though, I'm like, you know, I'm not sure if it's working for me that way. Maybe I'll write it anyway, or maybe I'll try and do something, because if it's not working for me, it might not be working for somebody else. And maybe we can rewrite, and maybe I can be part of rewriting a way that it works, that prayer works more for people, including myself, by not necessarily trying to please what's already out there and fit into the box that's already out there that does everything like that. I feel like that.
So on the other side of the coin, there was something I learned the first week. I think the first service I did, a teachable moment about symptom and contracting and energy. And I've been working on it, I guess, for 2 years or 20 or 40, I'm not sure. It's been a slow process for me. God gave me a lot of energy, thank God. And our congregation went through a rather difficult time this last year, and with things that I felt very passionate about for myself as a member and for the congregation and for all the people involved. And I had to find a way to transverse the waters in a way that felt good for my own neshama while taking care of everybody else's neshama, and trying to keep in mind the spiritual health of all these souls and the soul of the community. And I think that it was different for me this time. And what it did was it opened up many doorways, both for me personally, in terms of what I'm able to do in the synagogue, for some programs and drawing people in a positive way and creating some new initiatives. And, you know, maybe I was a little bit on the path over the last few decades, but DLTI really, really helped me in a very focused way understand, you know, the impact. And if I want to be on this path of being a spiritual leader and trying to provide something that will ignite the spirituality of others, then I need to do it in a way that I found a better way to do it.
Well, if I could just pick up for a second on a phrase you used, the soul of the community. We talk individual souls, of course, they've shown us, but that's kind of a new one. We don't usually talk about the soul of the community. Just take a second. The soul of the community.
Say something more. I don't want to. Good.
In the silence of that moment, you try to feel the soul of it. Very sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about our experience. About a month ago, a partner, a good friend of ours, passed away quite suddenly and unexpectedly. And she asked us to put together, put together a memorial service. Just a couple of days' time. And I don't think it's anything I could have done. I've never had to do this, and we did it. Janelle and I. And in the course of doing it, I gave a little bit of our total. I could be right. And it just occurred to me that, you know, without DLTI, we wouldn't have lost. And it just came very naturally. I really, enjoyed being in that spiritual leadership position and enjoyed the way it worked out. Her partner was not Jewish, and she had a lot of non-Jewish friends who came, and so part of it was trying to figure out how to, she's Shelley, trying to figure out how to, meet her need and our need, but also make this open and welcoming to their non-Jewish friends. And people were very appreciative. I mean, in a way they did, in the sense that a number of them came up to us after, so they didn't know Judaism to help them understand. They thought it would be an honor, a partner, in a way to make them really appreciate. And I think the DLTI just really set me up for that.
It's funny, first we were just going to get some gleanings from the small groups, and then our plan had been to ask you for your stories of leadership. And you just automatically.
Oh, go on.
You must have clearly read our note.
No, we're leading.
Yes, you're that's right. These stories of your leadership are so deeply valuable to me and to one another. So let that ball roll.
They're good teachables too.
Yeah.
Like, look where we started. You could have said in one sentence the e-card of learning, but you couched it in the story of your journey. And so there's a more of a depth charge to the learning. What I thought I can glean from you, I'm suddenly in the situation, imagining myself, as opposed to hearing have confidence, roll with the punches, like whatever the bumper sticker is. So this is a good way of stepping into the very invitation of the performance. Thanks, Richard.
So Esther, you said before about making mistakes. My new congregation, I my door is always open. I try to do that literally unless I was in private conversation sometimes, but, and the walls are so thin, it wouldn't matter if the door's closed anyway. You know, the open door policy is a great thing, except sometimes you have someone in your office and someone thinks you have an open door policy and comes in. It was actually, I was meeting to a staff person came to ask me something. And I said, well, 1 second. And the staff person started and kept going. And I ended up offending the people who were in my office because I didn't cut off my colleague because I had confidence in my office. And they were offended. And I spoke to them afterwards and I realized, and I was so afraid as a rabbi that you can't make mistakes. And I know I'm in the right place because I made one. And they came and told me honestly how they felt. And we processed it. And you know, and everything's okay. And that's how you know you're in the right place, when you can make those mistakes. And you're not deathly afraid of making them. So it was just, you know, that was awesome.
Well, I didn't
Say
share
your name,
this.
because I can't remember.
Jason, yeah. Well, I didn't share this with my little group. Here's one of the big things I learned from DLTI. I was in the synagogue I'm in, they're looking for a new rabbi. They decided to get people together to talk about the characteristics of the new rabbi, what the new rabbi should be. And, you know, someone said, well, the new rabbi should be good with people. The new rabbi should be, you know, educational, great educator. The new rabbi should be kind. The new rabbi should be compassionate. And then, you know, came Jason's turn, you know, to say something. And I said, you know, that person could be like, could run a YMCA, could run a clubhouse, could run a community center. This is a synagogue. A rabbi needs to know how to create sacred space. That's the one characteristic a rabbi should have. And I really understood this in the DLTI. How you have to be able to make people shift their frame of reference when they enter a place of prayer and enter a holy place. And I wish I would be blessed to know how to do that, to really know how to do that, because that's the piece that I'd like to bring as a rabbi in this structure.
You just did.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I got out of it. That's the big message. You know, a lot of little pieces, but that's the big message. We've created such sacred spaces so many times here, where I felt that sense that I was in a different place. It wasn't where I was.
Did you hear the comment that was shared with you?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Just wanted- And why did you say that? What was it about the way Jason was sharing his insight?
So thank you for asking that. What you did was, the way you started, I was thinking to myself, oh, this is a joke. Or I should get my Superman shirt that I have in my room, because that seems where this story is going. Right? It's one of those stories about, you know, the congregation puts together a list of rabbi characteristics, and, you know, that person was born on Krypton. So, whatever. But the point is that that's where it looked like you were going, and you went, and you turned it, and you came up with something that made me stay shut up and listen, because you took it to a really holy place. And that one of the ways to create sacred space is to not to lull people to the, you know, to somewhere and then jerk the rug out, but you took me to an unexpected place in a way that I thought I was, you know, I thought I was with, you know, I knew where you were going. You opened my mind.
I'm not quite sure what went on in that room in terms of what I said. I'm not really quite sure that they were ready to hear what I said. But I was ready to say what I said.
Right. Jason, just to make sure you get what's been given you, that was talking about what happened.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Not there. He experienced what you were talking about. You stepped into it, became the thing you were teaching. That needs DLTI. You can run, but you can't.
Your comment and Daniel's as well just put a light on for me. Last week,
feels like 6 months ago. When I was leaving and gave a devar, I had a hard time with the third LEL. And somebody handed me a box of Kleenex and I stumbled through it. And afterwards, Sheer came up to me and said, you know, that's when somebody stumbles in a service because, you know, leadership role, because they're really feeling it, they're really in it, that's when I really notice the authenticity. That's what I wish I'd see all the time. And can you imagine leading from that place for an entire read, or an entire shot read, or whatever it is? And that's stayed with me. And I think what I've noticed, and you helped me find words for just now, is being able to be authentic like that means being able to be vulnerable in your leadership, in my leadership, so that I'm traversing a very interesting place between leading and experiencing and feeling, and it's dangerous. Maybe doubling dangerously. And it's also exhilarating, and it's spirit. For me, I've been very lucky. I think the last 6 months, especially, and over the last 2 years, just spending every other week or whenever I can get there with Daniel at Harvey and Amy Covera, being here. And it, you know, and I've shifted all of my work, almost all of my work, into Jewish teaching, whether it be teaching Torah or teaching pre-bar mitzvah Hebrew, and teaching at Hebrew college. And it's just been remarkable to me to be in situations where I'm, you know, in the same meeting with Art Green and Evan Leader and these people who are like impressive. And, you know, Evan, the last time I did a drum circle with him was last week, and he threw his arms around me and said, "That was amazing. I'm going to do what you just did." It's one little thing in all of my classes. I'm like, really? And those moments keep coming up. And I know that the word we use here, phrase we use is stepping into it. I have been stepping into that and willing to delve dangerously. And it's been amazing. The year of doubling dangerously. The DLTI teacher. The 2 years of doubling dangerously. I've been also discovering the depth of the toolbox that's been developing in my repertoire that I'm able to use at different times, different situations. And, so my confidence is that growing. I've been putting myself out. Of course, I've been putting myself out for years and doing kind of strange Jewish ritual things, but the ability to lead a program, I've been finding myself much more comfortable. Where, for instance, we do a conscious eating 2-ish bot. We do like meditation and conscious eating, but I've been like throwing in like some niguning just to like intersperse the different flows and creating the space for the meditations. So I mean, I think that came out of doing something like this. And just at my synagogue, when they have like congregational Shabbats, this is like, this means that when there's not a bar mitzvah, the rabbi can't have a Shabbat for the congregation. Sometimes the school. So they invite me to play drums with the rabbi. actually, but before they started inviting me to do that, and I would play drums in Armenian, it would be kind of like awkward. Why are you playing drums in Armenian? But once I played with the LA Cannon, it's like, oh, there's so much ruach. Oh, that's so great. You know, it's like, you should do it all the time. You know? But actually, so the last time when they asked it, I said, you know, I'm going to be up here. Why don't you let me lead one of the prayers? And so I did, and that was like felt really good. You know, fit in with the congregational aspect, and we have an interim rabbi, so he asked me to co-lead with him one day. He was co-lead with him. So there's things that I feel just comfortable about adding in. And Red Marcia, for your little intro to Torah chanting last summer, I have been taking a Torah class. I will be waning next month. And if you're using Hannah Jack's booklet and CD, which is totally amazing.
New T-shirt.
So we got to come in for landing for this point, so we don't push Maru too much. So I don't know if you want to. Okay, yeah, and then Alan, you'll choose who you're going to choose for the last comment for tonight.
Okay, I want to share a small story that would not happen if it will not be for DLTI. In October, I turned 60.
No.
And I was debating how to celebrate my birthday with a meaning. A meaningful way for me, not going to a restaurant and blah, 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 blah. So I decided, it was Thursday night, so I decided I'm going to invite all my friends to Shabbat dinner and we'll do Kabbalah Shabbat in my house. And it would not be happening if not for DLTI. So I called Michelle and I said, Michelle, would you be able to come from Wisconsin to Chicago and live with me, Kabbalah Shabbat, and have anything? She said, oh, sure, I'm coming. So I had 60 people for Shabbat. Wow. Yeah. Yes. And almost all of them, especially the Chalot. And Michelle and I led the service. And it will not be happening if it's not for the DLTI.
You have to add on to your house and use the 100.
It was amazing. And also, like, for my community, my favorite, to see what we are all about. It was like opening a new door to my friends in Chicago. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was the best way to celebrate my birthday. It's very meaningful. Yeah.
And I didn't know anybody else there. And my gift was watching this family or community just hold her. And it was just such a gift to be there.
Thank you so much.
I'm so full. Thank you for your confidence and rebelliousness and danger and convening of sacred space and time and just reflecting, helping me to reflect on how rich 6 months can be, how transformative it can be. Take the space to really savor one meal before diving into another one. I'm sad too because I'm leaving early. I sent a message out. I know maybe not all of you received it. I will be here only through the davening on Friday morning. So I'm sad that I won't get to see and hear all of your services integrate fully. But it's also for me like waking me up to be as present as I can in the next 36 hours. I'm going from here I'm leaving for a great reason. I've been selected to represent the Olive Organization Program, Sean Hartman Fellowship at New York. So I'm excited about that.
Wow.
And it also I'm feeling the taste of the week 4 blues, right? And it's bittersweet that there's so much here, and will always be DLTI 8. But when I said to her, Marsha, help me decide, but she said there are going to be other DLTI weeks, week 4. It's not going to be this DLTI week 4. So I just wanted to say hello and goodbye at the beginning of it. I'll be here all tomorrow, and then we'll have some moments else that really connect them as I go after.
Thank you, Shiv. Thank you for your presence with us, taking the journey with us. And now from a DLTI tour, some announcements before a little Kavanagh, transitional movement into Mari, Nigel, our Uber head of Chazon and founder. It's wonderful to have you. India representing the Bolshoi Ballet.
My struggle and I both happen to be here. I'm just Reminder that it's winter.
I forgot.
Meaning the sun rises later, so we daven later. Shakri will not be at 7 before breakfast. Breakfast will be at 8. Shakri
Yoga at 7.
Yes, yoga. A reminder that we'll be using the spiral-bound booklet this week. We'll be starting with it tomorrow, and on your schedule are the pages we'll be focusing on tomorrow afternoon, or is it morning? And by that time, you want to be sure, as was in your work, that you've read those pages. Two more things. One is that we do have time, mostly Shabbat, Saturday evening, for offerings of our talents and skills of different sorts. We do need someone who's willing to pull those offerings together into a schedule. So if that might be you, then please come see me sometime as well. And this week, and Esther has something to bring to us as part of our week together.
So I'm working on a project exploring individual prayer experience. And so I put together a questionnaire that I am going to offer people to look at and use after each service. Let me start again. That's pretty good. Thank you. So I've been having really deep prayer when I'm here at DLTI, and I've had some really amazing experiences. And from those experiences, I realized that there are certain types of services that work for me. And in the beginning, I was exploring whether that kind of a service works for everybody or if it just works for me. And so I've done a little bit of experimenting. And then I started to think about what's happening for the other people in the room as well. I know what's happening for me. So I came up with a list of all sorts of things that have happened to me and some things that haven't happened to me, but and I wanted to offer it to the group to see if you have any of this experience. So there are people that have committed to do this for the whole week, and we'll be meeting at 9:15 after davening. And for everyone else, the same questionnaire is here, and anytime you feel called, please take one and fill it out. And I suggest that you look at it before to get an idea of what I'm asking for. And I'm not going to go through it now, but if you have questions, please feel free. The other thing is that one of the other beautiful things that happened during Tequila is that I suddenly had these fantastic insights. Like, for example, I was praying, help me, Amy, what was I praying? Thank you, Mikamocha. I was singing Mikamocha, and I had this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, Mikamocha is Shekhinah singing to your Tevrate and saying, who else is like you in the world? Just like a partner would say to the other. So, in having that insight, I thought it would be so amazing if we had a book with all of our insights in it. And so, this will also be in the back of the room, and it is, each Tequila is on a separate page. And if you have an insight and would like to share it, it will be back there, right neatly, so that we can read it later, and I'll scan them and then send it out. I hope that this will become the 2016 DLTI Insights book that will go out. My hope is that also that we each realize that our Torah is just as important as Rashi's.
And the sheets will be also available.
Yeah, they'll be in there.
Transition will be
Good. As we're transitioning into March, a DLTI from a previous DLTI cohort sent me a little note, and I printed it out thinking, well, this is something really quite beautiful, but I don't know if the right moment would ever come to share it. And some of the things that were said in this room tonight prompted me to pull it out of my little pack and offer this gift to you as we transition into March, if I may. It was written by a 20-year-old dancer who was speaking about dance in a way that you might hear resonances in the work that we are doing. She writes, when we leave, the contribution received rests not on the content of our teachings, but on the quality and depth of our own self-connection. It's the same when we perform. In performance, we all take a leap to trust that somehow our expression, our experiences, our sharing will in some way benefit those who witness it. Let us welcome and support those of us who tremble at the idea of expressing ourselves vulnerably, knowing that for many, the time has come when fear and old stories no longer have the ability to paralyze our power. Great performance and great leadership do not have their foundation in persona or acts of covering what is authentic and alive. Rather, the leaders and performers that truly move, inspire, and enliven us are people who speak vulnerably from such a depth of connection to self and universal values that those who listen cannot help but be brought up to their frequency. There is a sacred duet of vulnerability and power. And in the center, there is presence. Self pounding out the heartbeat of life.